All right, guys, welcome back to another episode of the Thermal Gard Podcast. As usual, we have another fantastic guest on today, Stan Long from VideoBranch. Say hi, Stan.
Hey, everybody.
So we're super excited to have you on. We know a lot about your business. You guys are very active on social, so we're able to kind of keep up with what you guys are doing. Really impressive, the work you guys put out. And we know each other through a few different people, and I know we've shook hands multiple times, but I just wanted to get you on and really hear the story of kind of how you guys got started, where you came from, where you're going, all that. So, Stan, if you would just kind of take us back to the beginning. Who are you? Where are you from? How'd you grow up?
Yeah. Oh, the beginning. Yeah.
The beginning.
All the way back. So I'll try to keep it relevant to VideoBranch. But in the very beginning, I mean, back when I was a kid, I was one of those households that had a camcorder. This is before digital nonlinear editing. Mm-hmm. And I would just shoot everything, and I would make these goofy little videos and cut them together from like 2 VCRs connecting to VHS tapes, right? Just goofy things. So my friends and I just grew up doing that. And then I had a friend, he was one of those guys that they would always get the new toys whenever they would come out, and they were really into computers. So they got one of the first computers that could really edit software. So he was just right down the street. So that kind of took our movie making to a whole new level. So we would go over there and we would just shoot these goofy videos. And then fast forward to high school, we were the kids. There were no video programs or media offered I went to school locally, and there was no, media classes, but we would talk our teachers and, hey, instead of writing papers, could we make a video instead? And it was kind of novel at the time. So they
went for that?
Yeah. They're like, hey, go for it. So we were like, instead of, sitting down and doing the essay, we'll make this entertaining, entertaining also in air quotes. And it was a blast, and the teachers liked it, and they kind of encouraged us to, pursue video a little bit. And I didn't even realize this at the time, but we had senior seminar, and somebody just texted me this a couple of years ago, a photo of, they found a document like that I had written, you're supposed to pick where you see yourself someday. And as a senior in high school, I said video producer, which is my exact title now. And I don't think being a professional video person was actually on my radar. Like, it just seems like I was very intentional about it, but I was just having fun, really. So then went to college, and I picked a major, as I thought you had to. I didn't even know undecided was an option. So I just I went to Asbury University, or Asbury College at the time. They have an awesome media program. And so everyone was talking about it. I said, yeah, that's probably what I should do, like take tests playing with toys instead of writing the papers, getting to make the videos. So went there for 4 years, studied media comm, and got a degree with emphasis in video production. So that was kind of my thing. There were different tracks that you could take. And at the time, so at Asbury, I had a roommate for 4 years, same roommate. He was into graphic design, I was into video production. So when we graduated, we were looking for a job, both at the same time. He lived in Kentucky, I had moved back to Ohio. And we were kind of dragging our feet just a little bit because we had just graduated, and we were like, hey, let's have a little fun, last summer before really adulting, and we heard about this job in Houston, Texas. It was at a large church, and they were looking for a video producer and a graphic designer. So he reached out to me and said, hey, this just seems like obvious, like we should apply for this. So I hadn't quite put my resume together. When I say dragging my feet, the resume was together. I put that together in school, but our portfolio, I had done some recent work that summer. And so quickly was trying to cut that together. We sent our demo reel down, and they flew us both down, interviewed us. And within 2 weeks, we were moving to Houston, Texas. And so that was my job out of college, first job at a fairly large church. I guess it's a small church for the Houston area. But thousands of people, multiple services. And I joined basically there was a media producer there, but there was no video department per se. They wanted to kind of expand their team. So it was like starting green at a video production company or a marketing agency, kind of, because the church had all the resources that I would want out of college, all the newest camera gear, editing gear. We were working with a lot of different people. And so my roommate and we ended up being roommates for 7 years because I lived in Houston for 3 years. So it was pretty crazy. Then after that, kind of giving you the flyover tour here, but I had this desire. I've always been into documentary filmmaking. And so that itch was not being scratched at the job at the church. I really liked my experience there, but I kind of wanted to tell these stories. And so I basically left for a year, and I raised funding to do a feature-length documentary. This is in 2005. So I graduated in 2002, and then 2005. So actually, it was 20 years ago this month that I did this, which is crazy to me. The story was on my grandfather, who started U.S. Plastic on I-75. So if you're from Lima, you might know Stanley Tam, the big Christ is the answer sign on the building. But he's got a really interesting story, and I thought, I've got a really good connection.
Yep.
Being his namesake and just having grown up down the street from him. And so I was able to kind of talk people into, both in Texas, letting me go for a year, and there'd be a job waiting for me when I come back, and then coming up here to do this. And I also had just gotten married at the time. So this wasn't a really well thought out plan, but we did it. So I got married in 2004, and then we did the documentary, my wife and I together, in 2005. So and basically how this all ties into VideoBranch is I had raised funding for a year. It took almost 2 years. It was about a year and a half. So I didn't have any more funding, but I had legally set up an LLC to handle the funds for this project. So I basically had to supplement income by doing side jobs, and I essentially became a freelance video person. And at the time, there wasn't a lot of video work in Lima. People, it's funny, they always asked, how did you make it work in Lima, Ohio, doing video production? And the answer is just I had to travel a lot. So I had built connections through school and through Texas, and so I ended up flying and traveling just to do some video work to supplement our income. Fast forward, documentary's finished, we're all wrapped up. It was time to decide, do we go back to Texas or something different? And at that time, it was a really good opportunity to go back, but my wife and I just didn't feel like that was the thing. And so we were like, well, we already kind of have a book of business, and I never thought of myself as I'm going to go out on my own and have this business. I'm from a family of entrepreneurs and business people, and that was kind of the last thing I wanted to do, just because it was everywhere all the time growing up. Not that I hated it, but it was just like, yeah, I think I'd just like to not have that drive me. But apparently it was inside of me and I couldn't get away from it. And I was like, well, let's just see what we can do with this thing. And so we decided just to keep the business going. So really 2007, 2008, which is a really bad year if you remember the economy in 2008, to really start a business. But we did, we pushed through, and kind of fast forward to now. We got VideoBranch, which is, we make corporate marketing videos for a wide variety of clients, from small business to, we have a few that are global companies, Fortune 500, things like that. So quite the variety, but yeah.
There's a lot to unpack there. Yeah. So I want to jump back just a little bit, back to your time in Texas. You get out of college, like you said, the church had kind of the latest and greatest of everything. Just to give the people a timeline who kind of know that stuff, what were you working with in that first job? So
latest and greatest, this is pre-HD.
Okay.
So this is like right when I remember going to NAB the year that I left, and they were trying to decide, is it going to be a standard of 720 or 1080? So this is, HD was like on the cusp, but not there yet. So we were working with, so we had broadcast style cameras in the church. So part of my job would be directing a Sunday morning service with a team of volunteers. So we had 3 or 4 cameras. And then Editing was on Final Cut Pro with DV tapes, like digital video.
Nice.
And yeah, so producing DVDs, we would do thousands of DVDs of the services. YouTube was not really, I don't even know if YouTube was a thing then.
They were founded in 2005 and they started like operations in 2006.
Yeah,
Okay.
so
yeah,
not
so
really.
no. Yeah, so everything, our delivery format was not shooting it to people's phone. There was no iPhone. So this is pre-iPhone, if that
Right.
helps people get a sense. So that's kind of what we were working with, yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Okay. So, another question is you just kind of just like, I raised funding. I started an LLC to do this documentary. Take us through that, because that's not really a small project that everybody's like, I want to take that on after I got a nice job. I'm enjoying what I'm doing. Take us through that.
Yeah. Like I said, I don't know how well I thought through it. I'm like the creative person saying, I want to tell these stories. Like I wanted to tell meaningful stories and talk to people and be creative. The business side of, I just had to do that. I had to check that box so I could do it. This is in my mind at the time as a early 20s guy. But so the process was, I mentioned I had a lot of business people in my family. So thankfully, I was able to call some people up and be like, what do I need to do? Like, what don't I know? How can you help me? And so I had a few people that helped guide me through that, explain to me what an LLC was. I had seen LLC, but I honestly didn't know what it was. I really didn't know why I had to have that, why it was the best way to handle the funds for the project. And I think their insight was, hey, you might have something here. You might want to do something with your future. I think that's part of why they encouraged me to set it up like that, and even connecting me with their attorney, so that I didn't have any of that. So that's kind of how that process went. I don't know how detailed you want me to get, but basically I had a lot of guidance. And I mean, this is kind of like Google being good. So like you still went to Barnes and Noble or a library, and I was getting every business book off the shelf. So I had an LLC, and then I remember going and getting a book this thick. What is an LLC? How do you do your taxes? I mean, all the stuff. Like I had to just learn it because that wasn't on my radar. I didn't get a business degree. I just thought I was going to be making videos somewhere for somebody else. So
Stan, you leaned on your family a lot to kind of show you the ins and outs of getting this business going, starting funding. I mean, that's invaluable. That kind of sets you up on a great trajectory for the rest of your professional career, at least this far. What is some of the best advice you got during that time?
Yeah, that's good. I mean, it's really simple, but I mean, the best advice. So during the documentary, I was interviewing my grandpa, who was like in his 90s at the time and just ate and slept business. And so every day for a year, I was just sitting with him, picking his brain, asking him how he did things back then, how he does things now. And he loved to give me business advice. So when he knew I started this business, he was like, yeah, you got to do this. And his biggest advice, there were kind of two things he told me. One kind of surprises people, but first was he said, don't ever have a partner. Just do this yourself. You can do it. And I didn't really understand that at the time, but there were a lot of times where I thought, it'd be very helpful to have a partner. I wonder why, what his reasoning was. And I kind of went back through some of my notes, and he actually, because I recorded all of our conversations, he expanded on that a little bit. Just he had some situations, and he had just seen a lot of things with partnerships. So the best advice I feel like was, don't have a partner and don't give up, because trying to do this on your own is really, really hard. And he just encouraged me not to give up when things got hard. And I mean, it sounds so basic, but I mean, that's the thing that I went back to, because it was certainly hard, especially after the documentary. I had that steady paycheck, that direct deposit every 2 weeks, and then to think of just making your own paycheck and trying to figure out, there's no regular 2 weeks, it's just whatever you can put together and put in the bank, that's what you have. So I don't know if that sounds like wise advice, but it was more encouragement.
Yeah.
Yeah. And a lot of things I didn't recognize at the time too, probably. So yeah. And then there were technical things, like some of the most practical advice would be like surrounding taxes and just how to think about taxes and prepare as someone who just that was kind of done on automatic for me when I was just using TurboTax or whatever, and it was very simple because I had one source of income, but now all of a sudden I have 10, 20 clients and just trying to figure out how to manage money. So that's most of the advice and support I got was from the family regarding like those technical aspects, and then just overall encouragement.
Awesome.
Yeah.
How many hours, if you know off the top of your head, how many hours of unused video or audio do you have that did not make the documentary?
That's such an interesting question. I don't know, but I can tell you the documentary is about an hour, and I know. So just interviewing my grandpa, we shot for 3 or 4 days, like 8-hour days. He just had so much to share. So, 8 times 3 or 4, like probably full, maybe it's a 7-8 hour day because we were there 10 hours, but yeah. So, and then that was just him. We interviewed probably 15 to 20 people around the country. Like it wasn't just people around here, but it was some people that he worked with, but then he spoke all around the world. And so we would talk to some of the people that were involved in that aspect of what he was into. And so, yeah. And those interviews were, we would travel. So we tried to make the most of it. And those were probably 2 to 3 hours a piece. And, we're using 4 minutes. So
wow,
it'd be hard to do the math on all that, but there's a lot on the cutting room floor. And I've had it in the back of my mind ever since I produced that. In 30 years, I would love to do another one with some insight, with some newer gear, with wisdom, and like recut some of that stuff and just have a new appreciation for it. Yeah. Because there's a lot extra.
I remember when I took like documentary filmmaking in college, my professor was like, you will have 10 times as much material as you will use. But that is how much you need to make it happen, because there's just so much. You have to make so many choices, and you have to have so many options.
Yeah.
I mean, that's a great question. How did you make the choices that you made? What made it in? What didn't?
Yeah. So I started with kind of a clear vision. Okay, this is what I want it to be. This is what the goal is. And then I tried to lay out what I thought would be a good, if you think of like a DVD back in the day or a book, just good chapters. So I knew what the main goal and focus of it was. To raise funding for it, I had to make a pitch, and I had to say, here's what we're trying to do. Here's what we need to do it. And so I already had a target. Now there was a lot of flexibility with like what that would look like. They were giving me creative freedom and direction, but it really helped to kind of have that true north, because every edit decision I could be like, well, does this align with the overall goal? This is a really amazing statement, but does it align with the overall goal? And if it didn't, I just had to make those hard decisions.
Kill your darlings.
Kill your darlings, exactly. Yeah. I said that many times over that project.
You mentioned having to learn to approach these people and give them a pitch and get them to invest into your project. How was learning that skill, and how has learning that skill impacted your ability to like get clients today with your current business and everything like that? Like, how has that carried over?
Yeah, that's good. I really look back and I'm like, did I really know what I was doing? Somehow I got the funding, and I think it's because I had and I had connections. But I think what it was is just my vision aligned with their vision. So part of this was for if other business people see this. So what my grandpa did is he wrote a book called God Owns My Business, and for U.S. Plastic, he made it so 100% of the profits went to Christian missions. So we wanted to show if other people were interested or just could be inspired by that decision, by that story that went on to impact so many people, how they could do that. And so because that was kind of my vision, is I kind of pitched that to them, and I said, look, this could benefit your audience because you're speaking to these people all the time. You already have the platform, but you're sharing these books. We're in the documentary, we're in the video age, which was just starting really. This is just a new way to tell that story. And I kind of pitched, and this is what I learned, probably what I use with clients today is not so much, here's the product and here is how we're going to do it. It's what they're going to get out of it. It's that aspirational identity. It's like lives could be changed because of this story. And like, that's what they heard that they would get behind. Mm-hmm. Not so much, we're going to talk to this many people and we're going to do all these technical things. Is more like pitching the end result, mm-hmm. The hopeful success.
Yeah, pitching the dream, not the numbers.
Exactly.
That's awesome. So one thing I do want to talk to you about too is you said you were newly married. You decided to go off and do this project. What was some of the best ways that your wife supported you as you kind of stepped off on your own doing this new project? I mean, you said that you guys did it together, but was there anything specific where she made the difference?
I mean, probably from the very beginning. I remember we were on the road traveling. She's from upstate New York, so we were going to visit her family. When I was still working at the church in Texas, it was like, it was the fall. I don't know if it was around a holiday or not, but I kind of just said, hey, I have this idea. Like, what do you think about it? And this is probably the most crucial thing. She was like, that sounds crazy. Like, let's do it. Like, you should go for it. And like, she encouraged me in that dream. So that's the most support. If she would have said, yeah, that's stupid, let's not do that, let's be smart with money, or like, if she would have kind of crushed the dream there, like, I wouldn't have done it. I would have taken her advice, but I think that's kind of the thing that she's allowed me to do, is dream a little bit, because I tend to be a little bit of a dreamer. Mm-hmm. And she calls herself a realist. And so the fact that she was like, hey, I think that could be a really good thing. And she wanted to do that with her time too. And so, to convince your, new wife that, let's just leave the safety of our jobs, because she had gotten a job in Texas too. We got married when I was there, so she moved down, got a job, and within a year, I think we were gone doing this and kind of launching into the unknown. But she has always kind of had an adventurous spirit, mm-hmm. and she's just a little bit different, and that's a good thing. Like, she's up for wild rides and things like that. So yeah.
For all those people who are kind of listening, where they have a dream, they want to chase it, but they're struggling to commit to that, what would you tell them?
I mean, I would say never stop dreaming. And the biggest thing is like, believe in yourself even when no one else does. That said, little caveat, listen to other people and like get some advice on it. I mean, I do think everyone should be free to pursue their dreams, but some dreams, maybe are just dreams. Maybe they're not the best ideas. I mean, I've had lots of dreams that I'm glad I didn't pursue. So I always encourage people, like, go after your dreams, but they may or may not be reality, but you don't know unless you try, and talk to someone that really knows you and really cares about you, just because of who you are. So like in my case, that was my wife. Like, I needed to know whether I was just in the clouds or if this was like a thing. Mm-hmm. And we both felt aligned on it. And so I felt like that was really important. So, but yeah, I mean, when in doubt, like, I'm a little bit of a go for it person. Like, pursue your dreams, give it a try. Yeah.
Your old window cleaner is trash. Ditch it and get Dudley on duty. It's what the pros use.
Yeah. So another thing I want to kind of take us back to, as you said, after the documentary, you built a small book of business, and then you kind of went off into making projects. But I kind of see that almost as, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, kind of a fork in the road. Like, you could have gone the documentary route again and kept making documentaries, being a filmmaker, but instead you went more to the business, making projects for other businesses. Kind of walk us through that transition and why you went that way instead of the other.
Yeah. I mean, it really was like a fork in the road. So I really wanted to go into the documentary filmmaking. And so even when I started the company, I was like, that's what I'm going to do after this one. I'm going to do another documentary. But as I got into it and I started helping these other businesses to kind of supplement our income, I realized I like this. Like, this is fulfilling to me to hear somebody else's vision and to hear their goal, and then to be able to get behind it and make that vision a reality. Especially at the time, you look around and we can all do video on our phone right now. But at the time, you had to have the equipment, you had to have the computer, you had to have the skills to be able to put something together. So it was definitely, if you wanted to do it, you needed the help of a professional. And in Lima, there really weren't that many options. And so it was like very fulfilling to me to be able to do that. And I didn't realize this at the time, but when I was at the church, because it was such a large church, there were many departments in this. There were many parachurch ministries. There were, the children's ministry, they had a daycare. And so it really was like seeing the inner workings of most businesses. There's all these different branches, there's all these departments. And what I guess what like drove it home is when my first year at that church, this will tie in, I think, to your question, but we produced a video for the daycare. And it was the first kind of like advertisement, if you will, but it was just like highlighting a ministry because they needed volunteers. Before this, they didn't have the capability to do that. So we interviewed some people, talked to parents that this really made a difference in their life. We showed the kids having a good time. We showed that on a Sunday morning. I just remember the response was overwhelming. They got so many volunteers to sign up. They got so much support. People loved this video. And then other departments in the church started saying, hey, we need to go talk to the video department. And basically, I felt like I started to realize the video department was kind of a mouthpiece for all of these important things. If you wanted to get your message out, go talk to the video department. Not saying we were the most essential part of the church by any means, but just we were kind of a tool that people were using to move their visions forward. And so kind of fast forward to that fork in the road when it was like documentary or business. And I was realizing that every business needs like a video department, or a marketing department if you're going to go and try to get your message out there. And so I saw that there was a need there. And I was like, this is super fulfilling. It kind of reminds me what I did at the church. But I'm doing it for myself. I'm doing it independently. And I've always had a little bit of that. Like, I like to do my own thing and kind of make it up as I go. I just didn't know exactly what that would look like. But once I really launched into business for myself, that's when I started reading the books and I started talking to people and started saying, okay, I never really thought I'd do this, but now that I'm going to do it, I better learn about it. And so, like I said, I wasn't that prepared, but I really tried after that. And I found that the other thing was, like, I loved being part of a church. Like, I liked being around, like, my faith is very important to me. And so having the opportunity to be around like-minded people was pretty cool. But I loved being around people that weren't like me. Once I launched into the business and working with businesses from all different worlds and types and worldviews, it was just, I love connecting with people that weren't like me and trying to help them in what they're doing. And so that's another reason that I just thought, hey, I'm going to keep doing this. And another practical just business thing is, it sounds grand and glorious to be like, yeah, I'm going to have a documentary film business, but it's kind of like making any other film. I was going to have to raise funding again, and then whenever you're raising funding, there's this criteria you have to follow, and there's agendas that get in there, and you're not necessarily telling the story that you want to. I had more insight into that, and I thought, yeah, I don't know if that's really something I want to do. And lastly, I like quick turnaround projects, off to the next thing. I didn't want something else that was going to take me 1 to 2 years, at least not at this point.
Makes sense.
Yeah.
Awesome.
So that was a long answer to your short question.
Oh, that was a great answer. Great answer. I am curious though, those early days in VideoBranch, you decide to kind of go the business route. I know a lot of your staff today, amazing people, just like yourself. And so can you talk us through kind of how you built the foundations of your business, the hires you made, building in that culture, the leadership that you kind of had to develop? Kind of take us through some of those key factors.
Yeah. So again, figuring it out as I went, but basically 2007, 2008, when it was just me. I had the business, but I was essentially like a freelance video producer. And so, because there wasn't a lot of business around Lima, I was doing all that traveling. In 2009, my daughter was born. And so 2009, 2010, she's getting a little bit older. I'm still having to travel all the time. And I just realized that I don't want to miss stuff. I don't want to have to be traveling as much as I have to travel while she's growing up. And so I kind of made the decision, okay, I need to not make this all me. I want some help. I want to build a team. And so that's kind of when I had the idea of, okay, I'd like to expand this. So I made my first hire, and that was Michael Anderson, which I think I don't know if you both know him, but um, I kind of even fell into that. So it was through a connection of the place that we were renting. And also somebody from church was like, hey, there's actually someone in Lima that studied audio production. And so I was just looking to kind of staff my liabilities. Like, okay, I was a one-man band, so I was doing audio, video, lighting, producing, wearing all the hats, which you probably can relate to. And so just to get someone to focus on the audio side, I was like, this is a step. And so he came in, and at first he started freelancing. I would just send him raw audio files, and he'd start mixing them. And so we'd email back and forth, and then eventually I brought him on full time into the office, and he was not just an audio person. I found out there's a much more to this person than just sound and audio. And so he was somebody that would kind of dream with me and help me figure things out as I would go. He's a fantastic troubleshooter. He's just one of those people that's like, oh, why are we doing things the way that we're doing things? And so we would have conversations and start to develop systems. Early on, like I nicknamed him Finder because we had all this gear just piled up in this hallway, a very small office. And, we would be adding gear over time, and I'd be like, I know we have this, but where is this thing? And he could just find anything, a needle in a haystack. And so he was my first hire, and he's still with me. It's been 10 years. I think, this year was 10 years, which is wild.
That is wild. So, I mean, he was your first hire. He kind of helped you kind of build this foundation. Kind of, honestly, when you add another person to your team, you like triple your output of what you can do, and it just everything becomes better. Yeah, it's a big investment, but it's so key when growing and trying to chase down the goals that you set for yourself. So, kind of take us through kind of the next few years, what you guys build on, kind of maybe some bigger projects, some bigger clients that you started working with. How'd you get the ball rolling as far as your company?
Yeah, so Michael kind of showed me, that hire showed me like what things could look like without me doing everything. So little things like I noticed that I had more time with my family and the audio sounded better. So there were, I was spending less time on something and the outcome was better. And I was like, that just felt counterintuitive. Like, how is this happening? So fast forward a couple years, we had another hire, Jana, and she came on the team, and kind of the same thing. She was a video editor. That's originally like why we hired her. Just a super organized person, super hard worker, just high amount of output. Like our efficiency increased so much. So again, it's like me sitting here going, we're doing more, we're outputting more, we're helping more people, and I'm doing less. So it's stuff that, learning as I go, it felt a little counterintuitive to me. And I just remember the first project that we sent off that I didn't touch. And I was looking at it, and I was like, I don't know if that's exactly how I would have done it, but let's just send it and see how the client feels about it. We sent it. Like, it wasn't very long. The client writes back, this is fantastic. This is amazing. And it was like that moment that I realized I didn't even touch this thing. The client is super happy. I don't need to have my hands in everything, let the people who are really good at their thing do the thing. And so then I was like, we should do that again. And we had more work. Business kept growing. And so I made another hire. And And that was Brandon. He came on a year after Jana, and his thing was shooting, and he was a fantastic shooter, great with lighting. And so that was another thing that I was taking off my plate. I didn't have to be the one to go out every single time. I didn't have to be. So now, Michael could go boom audio, and Brandon could be shooting, and Jana could be editing. And it was like, this is crazy. Videos are getting done without me. And then I could focus on the things that I loved and the things that I felt like I was good at. Like, I've always loved the people side of things and interacting with the clients and like helping to make sure the vision is on track. And so it allowed everybody to kind of flourish, in the things that we were good at. So I don't know if that answers your question, but
yeah, absolutely.
I think it's interesting. You're able to find these people that were able to fill these gaps and kind of help you and create this business together. Obviously, this area isn't known for its video and filmmaking. It's not Hollywood. I know that when I was looking at places like Texas, like California. What made you want to come back and stay and like do the business here as opposed to anywhere else? And how did you find the people to make it happen?
Yes, great questions. So part of the reason for Lima was I was from Lima originally, and I had already established that it was really about 2 or 3 clients that were kind of keeping us going at the time in Lima. So that just kind of made sense. But we didn't really intend to stay in Lima necessarily. It was just like there was family around, so it was nice to have a little bit of help at the beginning. But then also we had our daughter, and then it was more important to have help. It was just nice to have some family connections around. So practically speaking, that's why we did it. And there was just having contacts. Like, we were trying to lean into every resource that we possibly could. If I would have gone back to Texas or anywhere else to start a business, I was just starting from scratch. And so it just felt overwhelming to think about doing that. So, and then in terms of like finding people, so like Michael, that was the way that happened, because it was just through some connections here locally. But the other two, Jana and Brandon, they were from out of state. Jana actually grew up as a MK missionary kid in the Philippines. And so she ended up going to Asbury, where I went, and studied media. And so, it's really cool to me that someone that grew up in this multicultural experience, like, she's found her way here to Lima. And then Brandon's from Indiana, Southern Indiana. And so it's like, how do you pull these people? Well, it's really this Asbury connection. The professors there, they knew I was looking for people, and they were like, hey, I have these 2 standout people, and you should talk to them. And so that was one aspect, is finding the people, but then also having them come visit Lima and be like, hey, what do you think? Do you want to move here and like work with this essentially a startup video production company? And I think the cool thing is they just saw potential in it. They felt like that was a place that they could add value and see themselves. And so I don't know. I am so thankful, because they're all incredible and remarkable people. And they've made VideoBranch like really what it is right now. And so I just asked them, and they came, and sort of the rest is history. But yeah.
Yeah, which is a great segue into what is VideoBranch today.
Yeah. So we kind of like how I said at the very beginning, like with working at the church and realizing, these large organizations need a video department. That's kind of how I look. We kind of want to be a reliable video partner to anybody that we're working with. So do these businesses. So kind of our ideal target is like marketing teams at companies. So some of them have video capabilities already. Some of them don't, but we're kind of that video production muscle that comes in, and we can make their ideas happen. Or even if we basically could do turnkey video production, where we can plan it, produce it, and help get it out there. But a lot of them, it's like maybe they just need help shooting it, and then they'll edit it. And a lot of them, hey, we can shoot it, but we can't edit it. So we've kind of positioned ourselves as a video department. That kind of used to be our slogan, meet your new video department. you can call us and we'll step in and we'll kind of like fill that gap, if you will.
Yeah. So really, I mean, you can do everything, or you can just do one step in the process. It doesn't matter.
Right.
It's so valuable. Not a lot of places, I think, offer that flexibility. Usually it's either all or nothing. So I feel like that sets you apart, at least in our area, from a lot of different other places. That's really cool. Well, honestly, I think that's amazing. As far as the future is concerned, you know, you mentioned you're a dreamer. You got a lot of plans, a lot of dreams. You know, what is maybe the next 10 years look like, loosely, at least in your mind?
Ooh. Yeah, I have a lot of dreams. So that 10 years looks 10 different ways in my mind. And really, it's like watching the evolving landscape of video production. You know, at one point it was scaling teams and offering what we offer on a wider scale. As I look at how things are shaping up, it's like, I don't know if that's actually what I want or if that's what is the smartest thing. It might be. But basically, I do know that I just want to keep offering quality service in the video production world to businesses that are doing good things and they want to grow and they want that kind of help. So right now I can tell you where we are is we're in that spot where I feel like it's kind of a sweet spot where we've gelled as a team, we've all matured as a team, we've grown our skills, we're developing systems, we're still working through kind of our identity as VideoBranch, as a video production company and what our capabilities are. You know, we've talked about, you know, expanding locations. We've talked about adding to our team, but those are just dreams in my mind. And I find when I sometimes even at the office when I say that dream, it can be a little scary. It's like, whoa, how are we going to do that? You know, so I'm a little hesitant to say what that might look like, but just kind of. We've got some ideas, but we're taking it as it comes. And, you know, AI is kind of one of those things that I feel like I'm tuned into and just kind of watching because I feel like it's just changing industries overnight. And so how do we add that capability? How do we kind of harness that as a tool that is offering value? But like, I'm one of those people that approaches it very like cautiously optimistic. Just because, you know, I love people, I love my team. It's just about how it's going to change the way we do work, not changing like who is at VideoBranch and not changing, you know, our relationship with our clients, but just, I don't know. So to bring it on track back with the 10 years, like I just feel like technology is going to change the way videos are produced is going to change. And so I've never been more hesitant to not go 10 years out in my mind. Like when I first started, actually it's funny, when I first hired Michael, I was like, where do you see yourself in 5 years, 10 years? I love that question, but I've never been more hesitant to say anything because it's really hard to see.
Oh, for sure.
So,
Yeah, the video industry is at a real crossroads right now. It's really interesting to watch how like the broader industry is reacting to it, but also how smaller businesses and that local, you know, how, you know, like you mentioned, you don't want to replace anybody. You just want to unlock this tool. How do I use this to make everybody's life better?
yeah.
Kind of looking at that changing video landscape, you know, a lot of people now are way more familiar with video. They have a camera in their pocket wherever they go. You know, how does that change in like what the clients know and what they're capable of? How does that affect what VideoBranch is going to be doing, do you think?
Well, it definitely, kind of when things shut down, like during COVID, it unlocked new business for us because we couldn't get places, but other people could with their phones. And the quality of video became a little bit fluid. You know, it's like some video is better than no video. So iPhone shot footage is better than no shot footage. And so people would be sending us things. And so it made people more open to like shooting some stuff themselves or investing in a little better camera and things like that. And so that kind of even opened a door for us because, again, we'll take your footage and we'll edit it. But also then it turned into consultation. Like, can you help us? Like, how would we set up a studio space if we were going to do that? Or what cameras should we get? What mics should we get? Like, how do we approach this? So I think it only for our business model, I think it only helps us. Like, I love it when we work with teams that have video capabilities because we can support them in that role. And we have a lot of clients that they can produce videos themselves, but they'll just bring us in for something special. Hey, this is really important, or this is really tricky for us. We don't have the capabilities. But I think it makes a lot of sense in today's day and age to have somebody on your team that can do some video. So I'm excited about it. You know, I'm not sad when I find out that somebody has like a video producer on their team. It's like, how can we support you? Like, how can we add value to this? So,
Yeah. I'm just out of my own curiosity, you know, this AI video has gotten really good even in the last 6 months. How are you guys utilizing that, or is it case by case? Are you guys still experimenting yourself? What does that look like for you guys?
yeah, good question. Still experimenting is the short answer. Case by case. We've implemented it just a little bit professionally, like in a paid project. For the most part, you know, it's just new territory. People have mixed reactions to AI at this point. You know, some clients are really open to it. Hey, what can you do? And some are like, please don't use any AI in things that we're doing. So it's just, you know, we're still figuring out how to talk about it, how to implement it. And so it is a case by case basis. But basically, I look at it as a tool. And if it's going to do something good for my client, it's just like any other tool. It's like the software that we use to edit, or, you know, the cameras that we use, our lens choices. It's like that. It's like, maybe there's a better way to do this with AI. So that's what I'm keeping my eyes on. And at this point, I'm kind of the one that it's experimenting with it. And I think it's mind-blowing how good it has gotten, but it takes a lot of work. These little short clips that you see, they still do take a lot of work. Like, if you're going to add it to a bigger project. So you still need someone that can kind of wield that tool. It's not necessarily magic like social media would want you to think, at least in my experience. I've tried about probably 5 different tools. I'm actively using all 5, and some are better at like motion graphics, and some are better at creating realistic scenes and recreating scenes. And so I'm excited about the potential. Like, there's some really cool stuff, but as far as professionally implementing it, it's just going to be something we kind of have to wait on. You know, 8-second clips were like the thing a month ago, and now you can do full-blown 30-second clips. And yeah, it's kind of wild.
Yeah. So I think I just kind of want to take us into our next segment here, and that's just our quick fire question segment.
Okay.
So first is tea or coffee to start the day?
Coffee.
Makes sense. You're drinking it right now. Are you a 1 cup, 2 cup, all day long?
All day long, if I'm being honest. Do we have to be honest on here?
I mean, yeah.
Okay.
Everybody likes honesty.
Yeah. So yeah, all day long.
All day long. Awesome. What is your favorite local business besides your own?
I have a lot of local business clients, and they're all my favorite. That's like my kids bringing me their artwork, and they're like, hey, whose is your favorite? Which one do you like? So can I not answer that? Or I know. I'll just say U.S. Plastic, favorite local business.
That's fair.
That's fair.
Yeah, I can't argue with that.
Yeah.
What is one word to describe entrepreneurship?
Ooh. Quick fire, I guess. Opportunity.
Opportunity.
Yeah.
That's good. I don't think anybody said that yet. So
I don't think
that's
so.
really good. What is the biggest business myth?
Biggest business myth. You know, start your business so, you know, you can be your own boss, maybe, because I have like 50 bosses, I feel like, you know, throughout the years. It's the freedom thing is kind of a myth. I mean, there's truth in it, but it's not at least what I thought when I first started. So
Yeah, I think we had another guest who said something along the lines of like, yeah, you think you're going to run the world, you're not going to have anybody to answer to. Now all your customers are your boss.
Yeah.
And you kind of have to navigate that new relationship.
yeah.
Yeah, that's awesome. So I guess We usually ask clients, what their favorite quote is. I'd love to know your favorite quote, but I'd also love to know if your grandpa gave you like a favorite quote that you kind of cling to all the time as well.
Um,
I'm putting you on the spot.
no, that's okay. I mean, he said so many things. I mean, like, you asked about how many extra hours of tape, and like, he's a very quotable person.
Oh, yeah.
So I'm just trying to think of what that would be. I might have to think on that one.
Okay.
As far as a quote that I personally go back to, there's a quote by a guy named Jim Elliott, and it basically, it's a two-part quote, but I just really have kind of made the first part my mantra ever since I was like in high school, and that's wherever you are, be all there. And I've always loved that quote because it's like, because I am a little bit of a dreamer, it's easy to be somewhere but not be there, to be in the room but be somewhere else. And so it's kind of like a grounding, anchoring thing for me. It's just a reminder of like, wherever you are, be all there, be present. If it's in a conversation, if you're at a shoot or whatever client interaction, you just be listening, just be there instead of somewhere else. And I think I love it because that is kind of a struggle for me. I mean, I'm just always thinking about the next thing or whatever, but everything is better when you're present, when you're all there. And so that's why I've always kind of liked that.
Yeah. Do you have any advice for people who struggle as well, just to help them stay focused, be all there?
Just find a way to remind yourself of that. I guess if you catch yourself doing that, I mean, it's just been a practice for me to just basically think about the person that you're with, I guess, just what's in it for them. Like not thinking about what you're going to get out of this transaction, but like what is in it for the person that you're talking, how can you add value, and being present. I feel like it's true, with your family, like with your kids, with your spouse, with clients, whatever the case is, or even if you're working on a project, you can be working on a project, but thinking about something else. How much better would it be if you're completely focused on that one task? So I guess the advice would be just put something in the room to constantly remind you. Maybe it's a quote on the wall or whatever you have to do. But like I said, that's kind of been a mantra, and I feel like I say it every day in many different moments. So to me, it's just having some easy thing to remember to kind of ground me.
Yeah,
So.
That's amazing. That's so good. I struggle with that a lot of times. So that's such a great lesson. Anything else, Austin?
Aside from the documentary, what's a project you've worked on that like really stands out to you as like, man, I nailed that. Like that's some of my best right there.
Well, kind of a full circle moment is last week we premiered another documentary. It's the longest project that we've produced as VideoBranch. We've over the last 5 years, we've been shooting footage for the Allen County's 175th anniversary. And this is the year that we rolled it out. We just premiered it last week, and I'm incredibly proud of it. I mean, it turned out really well. For something that's kind of, there's a little bit of history, a little bit of kind of entertainment, and it's a very personal thing to our area. And so we premiered it at this banquet, and just watching people be so in tune to it, because it was a big room, kind of could have been a loud room. Everybody was eating, and I always like, I can sit there and critique a video, but really what counts is looking at the audience, looking at the viewers as they're watching it, and seeing how, like, at what point do they start to daydream, start fidgeting with things, talking to the person they're sitting beside. And everywhere I looked, people were really locked in and in tune to this. And one of the most incredible things was I barely touched it. Like, I shot some footage, I gave some input, I kind of gave direction, but my team pulled that off and really put the time, effort, crafting the story. It was a lot of, because some of the stuff goes back to like pre-Civil War. So it was like archive photos and trying to find a through line that would be interesting for people from, kids to adults. And I'm really proud of how that turned out. And it was a cool project, like locally. My goal was to just get to where I wasn't traveling all the time. And now, I grew up going to the fair every day, lived really close to it, or not every day, but every year I would be at the fair. And so it was just kind of a full circle moment from the documentary to just local. And it had incredible shots, incredible sound. And again, if I would have done that by myself, it wouldn't have been near as good. I probably couldn't have gotten it done, and especially not in the time frame. So that was something I'm really proud of, most recently. But there's been lots of things over the years, like cool opportunities. I feel like video unlocks that door. You know, if you have a camera, you get to go places you would normally go. So
that's amazing. Where can people find that documentary?
Probably I know you can purchase it on DVD. Yep, they still make DVDs. Eventually, probably if you get on YouTube and go to Allen County Fair's channel, you'll probably be able to see it there. If you go to the Allen County Fair's website, I'm sure they're going to make links available. So that is still new enough that I'm not exactly sure all the ways that they're going to roll it out, but they're going to try to make it available. But I would say just check out the Allen County Fair in Lima's socials, and there's even some teasers out there. It premiered on Hometown last night, I think, at 7 o'clock. They gave us a really great time slot. And
it's awesome.
Yeah, really cool.
Awesome.
Amazing.
Yeah, well, thanks for coming in today, Stan, and talking to us. And yeah, we really appreciate an amazing story. Really, I think I got a lot from this. I think other people will as well. Is there anything you want to say before we wrap it up?
No, just I'm impressed by what you all are doing just with the marketing stuff at Thermal Gard, and I appreciate you asking me on. And I feel a little bad that I don't have a quote from my grandpa, because I spent that year just soaking things up, but it's kind of overwhelming to try to pick that out. But no, I mean, I appreciate the opportunity to kind of chat with you, and be cool to see how you guys grow this podcast and just see all the things that you're doing and the way you're using video at Thermal Gard is pretty awesome. And so, yeah, I just kind of excited to see where things go.
Thank you.
Thank you. Very appreciated.
Yeah.
And thanks to iHeart Studio for letting us record the podcast in here today.
Yeah, appreciate it. That's it.
Thank you very much. Have a good one.